All right, so as of today, we've set up our machine just now. Everything is fully set up for development work, so then when we get started this afternoon on challenges, we only have 2 challenges for today. One is called 99 bottles of beer on the wall. The other one's called Deaf Grandma. Well, everything will be set up so that we can start developing stuff right away. I think it's a good point right now to talk about a concept called an IDE. This is called an Integrated Development Environment. And basically, this is essentially like, what are the tools that you need? Like, what environment, what things do you need in this environment in order to develop actual software? So IDE, Integrated Development Environment. You're going to live in 3 places basically for the next 14 weeks. And if you decide that being a web developer is what you want to do for the rest of your career, this is where you're going to live for most of your life while you're awake. So you're going to live in 3 places. You're going to live first on the command line. And for us, the command line is, let's go. All right, so first things, we have our command line. And for us, that is iTerm. Command line means like, this is this black box that you see over here on the screen. This is called the command line. It's where it's another way that you can talk with your computer. The other place that you're going to live is your text editor. So if I open up another place that you're going to live is your text editor. And this is just a text editor is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a place that you can edit text. So yeah, it's basically I open a file and I can edit some sort of text on the screen. Microsoft Word is an example of a text editor, but it's meant more for like English and for like papers and things of that nature. Everyone has had some experience with a program called TextEdit on your computer. TextEdit is another example of a text editor. Probably something is open in this program that you're like, oh crap, I don't like this. I'm just going to quit out and go to Microsoft Word. But everyone has had some experience with a text editor. Text editor, again, is just the place that you write code. And then finally, every single web developer has their choice of what they like for in terms of their browser that they like to use. But for me, and I would recommend for you all, just go to Chrome. Google Chrome is probably the fastest web browser that has the most support and things like that. It also has a great thing called Chrome Dev Tools, which we'll talk about in week 5. So you're going to live in 3 places. One of them, Google Chrome or whatever web browser you decide to use. That's where you're going to Google away your life. Like essentially, anytime that a bug comes up, you just go straight to Google and ask it what it is. And then second, we have the text editor itself, or Sublime Text. This is where we write our actual code. And then finally, we have our our terminal, our iTerm, command line, whatever. I'm going to use all 3 of those interchangeably. The command line is where you actually execute the code. Now, this black box of like, I'm not sure what's going on here, you don't have to be terrified of this. It's definitely one of those things where you see a lot of like developers on TV, or if you walk around like any sort of trading firm or any company and you see a lot of developers, they always have this black box up here, which is more or less what everyone has on their screen right now. It's not as easy as it sounds to like hack the world and like send like and like delete your entire computer, or like people can't get into your computer as easily as you think. This is just another way of interacting more or less with your computer. Instead of double clicking on things, I enter some sort of like commands, a series of commands to make it happen. The language that we're going to be using to interact with the command line here is called Unix. And no matter what, like I would say for most people in this bootcamp, we're going to be learning Ruby and JavaScript. When you leave here, you might not ever use either of those languages. Like you might be a Java shop, you might be a C# shop, you might go to a place that does Python. But there are a few key concepts that are going to persist with you throughout your entire web development career. One of them is all the commands that you're going to use here, all the Unix commands that we'll cover in just about 5 minutes. Another one is going to be all the GitHub commands that we're going to go over tomorrow. So there are some things that are going to persist forever, and other things that may not persist after this bootcamp. Do we all have some interaction with the command line or no? I'll take that as a no. All right, so the command line. This is going to be day one, just a very basic stuff. Oh, no, don't want you to do that for me. Okay, so there are two ways of doing things on your computer. The first one is on your left. It's called the non-developer workflow. It's basically what you all are used to, where it's like you right-click, you create a new folder, you double-click something to open it up, or if you want to create a new file, you right-click and you open a new file and things of that nature. This is totally fine. 100% fine if you are a non-developer. But as a developer, you want things to be lightning fast. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to be starting to work in this developer workflow area. So two ways of doing the same thing. One is just non-GUI based. Like I can't double click and drag things around. All I can do here is just type in stuff. So there's a lot of things you can do with the command line. Again, you can't delete your whole computer. You can't hack the world. Like you can't send, like you can do a lot of things, but you don't have to worry about blowing up your computer as much as you might think. If you enter something and there's an error that pops up on the screen, it's not going to allow you to delete everything. There's a few things you can, these are just some of the things you can do on the command line. So you can add a folder, remove folder, list everything out in a specific folder, add and remove files, move things around. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So these slides are all part of the curriculum, so if you want to find it a little bit later to reference this, you're totally okay with doing it. But you may have seen me doing a lot of things like CD and like LS and all that kind of stuff. Essentially what it is certain commands on the command line equals certain actions. So just kind of going one by one. mkdir is a make directory. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm creating a new folder. So instead of right-clicking and doing new folder, all I'm doing is mkdir space whatever the folder name, and it'll create that folder automatically. I don't have to right-click and go through extra steps. Touch, we've done this like 4 or 5 times today, and have people started to figure out what that is quite yet? All touch is doing is I'm creating one file. So it's different from mkdir because touch is for a file specifically. mkdir is for a directory specifically. I can't make a directory using touch. I have to use mkdir in order to do that. And similarly, I can't create a file using mkdir some file name. It has to be touch some file name. These two like create things into existence. RM, like if mk is make, rm is remove. Most of the time when you see rm, it's remove in some way. So mkdir means I'm going to remove a folder, or I can do rm space -rf, which means I'm going to recursively delete something until it's gone. So I would recommend using rm-rf to remove a folder from somewhere. rm by itself is just removing a file. ls is to list everything out in that specific folder. And then cd is to basically change the directory that you're in. All right, so let's do anything. Okay, so don't code along with this one. I just kind of want to show you just the speed of something. So I'm going to create what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called deltas. Inside of each one of those, I'm going to have different folders underneath that. And those specific folders will be named each one of your names. And then on the inside of those, I'm going to basically create a file with your birth date on there. All right, so let's see it done using the non-developer workflow, and then we'll do the developer workflow. So again, new folder. I'll call this a deltas. Double click. Then I'm going to create a new folder for each person in here, Taylor. And then Taylor, what is your August 8th? August 8th. Okay, no, so I have to go in here. Let me open up a text file. And August 8.txt. And then when I save it, I'll go to my desktop. deltas, Taylor, August 8th. You can kind of see how this is going to start to get painful real quick, right? All right, Peter, you're up. March 11th. I know this is painful, but there is a reason why I'm doing this. Next up, let's have Alex. When is your birthday? November 18th.
July 25th.
All right, and our last one for today. Go ahead, John.
June 20th.
June 20th. Okay. So this is how like a non-developer would probably go through this, right? I have to right-click a bunch of stuff, double-click. I have to open up like Microsoft Word and save a bunch of stuff, and you know that was probably pretty painful to watch, right? But it's meant as a demonstration, but it's probably pretty painful to watch. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm only going to use the command line, and I'm going to use the commands that we saw a little bit earlier. So I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to move this over here. Can everyone see that all right, or should I make it a little bit bigger? Okay. All right. So first things first, I'm going to do basically what I just did, but in probably a fraction of the time. So right now, I have to list out where I'm at. I'm at the root of my computer, and I want to get to my desktop. I can see I listed everything out using ls, and now I can change my directory from where I am into the desktop. So does anybody remember off the top of their head what the command was to change a directory? CD, okay. CD, so that's the command, and then the next one is the argument. So I'm going to CD into desktop. If I start typing and I press tab, if it matches up, it's going to autofill for me. That's one nice thing. Here I am in my desktop. Anybody remember what I have to do to create a folder? mkdir, and I'll call this deltas. And you can kind of see on the bottom right there it is. Now I need to change my directory into deltas. How do I do that? Yep. So it's like CD and then where am I going, right? So I'm going into somewhere else. So now I can go through it really quick. So I'm going to do mkdir of Taylor. And then if I list everything out, you can kind of see this is the same thing. Inside of deltas, there's a folder now called Taylor. All right, I'm going to CD into Taylor, and I'm going to create a file using what? Like, what is the command to create a file?
Or touch.
Touch, and then aug8.txt. I'm going to CD going out one level. Does anyone know how to CD out one level? Dot. So CD, it means I'm going to change directory, and I'm telling it where I want to go next. So right now I'm within Taylor. As I am within Taylor, I have just one file inside of here. I need to go out from where I am right now, back into this level, and then create everyone else's stuff. So I'm going to cd ... So it's changing directory. Where am I going? I'm going up one level. And you can kind of see I changed from Taylor/Taylor here, and I'm back into deltas. So Peter, I'm going to make a directory called Peter. I'm going to cd into Peter. Peter, what is your birthday again? March 11th.txt. I'm going to cd out. mkdir for Alex. Alex is November 18th. mkdir Deja. cd Deja. Touch July 18th. Okay. And then finally, I'm going to make dir for John, cd John, and then touch June 20th.txt. All right, so I just did what I did in 3 minutes in about 30 seconds. So that kind of demonstrates just how much quicker doing stuff with like a non-graphical user interface. Like this is why we have to learn these types of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to, yeah, let's do this. All right, so we'll start right here. What we're going to do is each one of you is you're going to open up your computers. You're going to jump into iTerm. And you're going to follow these commands and then call Kara or myself over.
And then how do you clear the iTerm?
All right, so let's do some mob programming. Mob programming being I'm going to code and you tell me what to do. And we'll all come to a consensus on what we should be coding together, all right? So first things first, I'm going to open up iTerm. I'll push this up over here and kind of scroll back and forth to make sure that everyone gets sick. All right, so first things first, let's make a folder on the desktop called command line exercise. All right, so somewhere in the background here, a folder is going to come up and it's going to say command line exercise. Now, how do I get to my desktop? LS?
Could you first say, like, how does everybody know where they are?
You can use PWD.
What does PWD stand for?
Print working directory.
Yeah. So there's another one that I didn't get to add in there that we're gonna add in there.
Because right now, like, even if you just started on making a folder, right? Like, you have no idea where you are. You have no idea how to get to desktop because you don't know where it is. So I guess a good step is saying LS, where, like, what's around me. But if you had no idea where you even were, that's the best place to start.
Sure. So PWD, you said, right? Print working directory.
Yes.
Cool. So here I'm at. I'm /user/jm. Cool. All right. So I know where I'm at. Now I need to know where I'm going to go next. So I see that there is what is all this stuff here? Probably from leftover from last time. Okay. How do I get to my desktop at this point? How do I change from where I'm at right now into the desktop I'm going to? Desktop. Okay, so this was the question a little bit earlier when I said you can tab a bunch of times. Is someone's computer about to blow up? Okay.
Mine does that too.
Yeah, it's a Mac.
Okay. It's a MacBook. Okay. So I can do CD and then I can start typing desktop, DES, and then tab, but nothing's coming up. I'm not sure why that is. Anyone have any idea? What's that? Yep. It has to be a capitalized, like it has to match the name of the, there's a process on your computer that's killing your computer. So yeah, so I have to get to the name of the directory I'm going into has to match up 100%. So if I do capital D and I press tab a bunch of times, it doesn't autocomplete for me because there are many options for capital D. There's desktop, documents, downloads, or Dropbox. Like, which one are you talking about? Let me know. So if I keep typing, so I realize that all of these don't have, only desktop has an E after it, so I could just keep typing and then tab, and then it'll autocomplete for me. So here I am. I'm in desktop. I can list everything out, and you can kind of see, like, these are the folders that match up directly with the desktop. So I got personal, Google Photos, Code Platoon, and curriculum. Great. All right. I'm going to make a folder called command line exercise. So the command for creating a folder. Make dir, I'll just do command line. Sure. Okay. Inside that folder, make a folder called exercise 1. So mob programming, what do I do next? CD command line. Because as of right now, on this particular command, I'm inside the desktop and I'm not inside that folder I just created. So I CD into the command line, and then I have to create a folder called exercise 1. If I list out everything inside of here, I see I have that exercise 1 in there as well. Next thing, it says for me to create an empty file called awesome.txt. So how do I create a file? Touch. Awesome.txt. If I list out everything I have that awesome.txt plus the exercise 1 folder as well.
If you
you can add any type of document, and any sort of
File type.
file type.
Yes.
So, like Excel or anything like that.
Exactly. Anything. All right. I'm going to change out one directory and create another folder called exercise 2. So how do I go out one level? So I go up one level. Here, where am I again? How do I check where I'm at?
CD space dot dot.
It's CD space dot dot. What's that? PWD. I'm at users, JYoung at the desktop. This is kind of cheating because I set this up this way, so I never need to type in PWD. This is a little, I'll send this all to you all, so you can have this as well. But PWD is a good idea to know. It's like, where am I right now? All right, I'm going to change into that directory. So I've got everything here. How do I change in? Oh, I haven't made the folder. Okay, so how do I change into the directory again? So here I am. I'm in exercise 2. Change back out. So how do I go up one level?
CD space dot dot.
Good. I'm going to delete the exercise 2 folder. So how do I kill folders? And then, cool. So I can see that when I list everything out before, the exercise 2 is right here. And now when I list it out again, exercise 2 is gone. List everything in the current directory you're in. Change into exercise command line. And then that's about it. There's a little bit of a typo. I see that. So yeah, as you get more and more comfortable with this, this is just going to become second nature. This is day 1. For the first 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of this is going to just feel like it's like way too much information. But yeah, it will come.
Is the / at the end when you like CD or not CD, but like remove or create things like that? Is that to make sure it's a folder and not
Yes.
a file with the same name?
Exactly. Yeah. So the slash at the end means that it's a folder. If there's no slash at the end, it means it's a file. That's a good observation.
And you wrote that, or that's what was?
That's when I tabbed it, it automatically did that for me. Because sometimes you might have a file name that's the same thing as a folder name. So here, let me just touch exercise 1. So when I list everything out, you can kind of, shoot. So you can kind of see, like, even these two have the same name, right? One is a folder and one is a file. So when I do rm-rf exercise 1, I tab a bunch of times. It's like, which exercise 1 do you mean? Do you mean the one with a slash at the end, or do you mean the one with the .txt at the end? All right, so I want to get rid of this because I don't want this anymore. So I'm going to cd up one level, recursively remove everything inside of command line. So that entire folder is gone.
So you basically, when you say you recursively remove, you're going from that file all the way up to
All the way down.
user.
All the way down. So I start at a certain point. I delete I go inside every single folder, delete every single thing inside of there
Until you get to one.
until there's nothing left.
But you're going to end up, where would you end? Where would it stop?
Sure. So before you remember I had command line, and inside of command line I had a folder called exercise 1 with stuff inside of it, and also this exercise1.txt. When I do rm -rf, I'm recursively removing everything inside of this folder. So I'm starting inside this folder. I'm starting at the first level. If there's other levels, I'm going to delete those things. Otherwise, I'm just going to delete everything until it's all gone. Essentially, this is just rm-rf is to kill a folder. It's just to right-click and delete a folder. All right. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The last little bit before we kind of let you all code for the rest of the day is a few of these Sublime shortcuts. So first things first, I'm assuming that most people know how to do this, but just in case we don't, I will go over it now. Okay. So here I'm here again, and it's kind of annoying to like continuously type in like CD into the desktop. I like to put things inside the desktops because I like to see it when I like the option to double click. You don't have to do what I do, but I like the option to double click here. It's kind of annoying to, always go inside of here, and the first thing I type is CD desktop. So what I've done a lot of times is I'm going to just open the bash profile, and this is my setup right now. There's a lot of aliases and a lot of things I've picked up over the years that I'll more or less send off to you. But essentially what I have on line 28 is my lazy way of just aliasing something. So instead of typing CD desktop like I would usually do, I just type in D, and then it takes me to the desktop regardless of wherever I'm at. So I'm seeding into my root directory /desktop all the time. Anytime I type in D, it does that for me. Or if I wanted to get to code platoon, I just type in CP, and then it takes me from where I'm at, no matter where I'm at, into desktop /code platoon. If I type in D, it takes me to the desktop. It's just a small little thing to make my life a little bit easier. And I'll send all of this out to you along the way. So I'm going to clone down 99 bottles. Once I get it up. All right, so I've got 99 bottles all set up here. And have people cloned before? Or is this completely new? Completely new? Yeah. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Okay.
Notice we're doing the HTTPS setups. Is there a reason
Are you deciding why do we use HTTPS instead of SSH?
I was wondering
Why we're using HTTPS? It's more secure than using SSH. And there's another configuration you have to set up with SSH. SSH basically says I'm connecting directly to GitHub to download stuff, rather than HTTPS is like, this is a publicly available website and I can just pull down from there. All right, it's almost impossible to do this work without having some knowledge of GitHub, so I'm just going to teach you what you absolutely need to know for today. All right, so we set up our GitHub and Git using Homebrew just now. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to be downloading all of the code from github.com onto my machine. So basically, this is just downloading it onto my machine. So I'm going to go to the repo for today. This green button that says clone or download, and then just kind of copy this into my like clipboard. I'll jump back over here, and then the command to clone something down from GitHub is actually just git clone, and then pasting whatever I just downloaded, that thing I just downloaded. So I'm going to press enter here. It's going to say I'm cloning into 99 bottles. And if I list everything out on my desktop, you can kind of see right here I have 99 bottles available to me. So how do I CD into this folder? Well, I just said, okay, CD 99 bottles. And then now I've changed my place from where I was. I was originally the desktop. Now I'm inside of 99 bottles. Now, how do I open this with my text editor? We did this a little bit earlier today. I get the sense that everyone's almost dying, so we're almost finished.
list the files?
What's that?
LS?
You might want to list all the files, sure. Okay. So if I type in just subl without anything, what happens?
Just open an empty.
Yeah, this is just an empty Sublime file. Subl is just saying like, hey, just open up the file called, the program called Sublime. I can do subl with a specific argument saying like, I just want to open this one particular thing. So let's say I just want to open up the JavaScript version. So 99 bottles dot, okay, I see that there's two options. They're both named the same thing. One is .js and one is .rb. So I'll do .js. And it just opens that one particular file, just one. And if I wanted to open up this entire folder, that's where the subl space dot means open up everything inside of here. So when I open up that everything, you can kind of see I do have all of these different files here. It's not just one. So subl space dot or atom space dot is the entire folder. There are about 1,000 shortcuts. It's very difficult to kind of go through them all. You're going to more or less figure out which ones you use on a daily basis. I actually don't know all of them. I use probably 5 to 10 of them on a regular basis, but I don't know all of these. The ones that I use the most are, if I want to cut an entire line, usually you would just highlight the entire thing and then do Command X like that. Or you can put it anywhere on this line and just do Command X and it cuts the entire line for you. And it'll paste the entire line as well. If I wanted to move this all the way up to the top, usually I would highlight everything and then cut it and then move it up to the top. But what I end up doing is I put it anywhere on the line. Again, I do Command Control up and down. You can move an entire line without actually having to cut and paste. It's going to be, anytime that I end up doing a Sublime shortcut or something like that, I will stop and tell you what it is. But you might want to take some time to kind of peruse this at your leisure and try to pick up maybe 1 or 2 per day that you're going to use in your regular workflow. Atom has the exact same shortcuts, so it's pretty easy. So again, 3 things that we kind of live in. You can kind of see, like, those are the only 3 windows that I have up right now. I have my Google Chrome. This is where anything that happens, like anything that goes wrong or anything if I don't know how to do an if statement or I don't know how to do a for loop or something like that, I'm going to Google it over here. This is where I look up everything. The text editor or Sublime Text is basically where you write all your code. It doesn't actually execute there. It's just a place for you to, it's just a place for you to write code. And then finally here we have the command line, which is like the newest thing for you all today. That is a place where you execute code and you can navigate around your computer and create files and remove things. Okay, let me stop the recording here.